Thank you for the report, Captain, and thank you for your guys' work. I know this is a tough assignment, and I hope that there's support out there to mental support for you as well, too, because it's hard to look at that every single day. So I appreciate that. When I was looking back at the November 2021 staff report when we approved the 2-year quality of life pilot program for a cost of $890,000 for 2 years, in that report, there was projections given, a potential number of proactive contacts that the quality of life officers could make in a year, based on a full-time team. It was based on the averages of the 2018 and 2019 overtime teams. And that contact said that there would be 3,127 contacts. That was just a projection. And currently, since the program launched March 2022, the 2-officer team, which was reported earlier and in the staff report, says that there's been 400 calls for service, and then the other verbal warnings and police reports as well. So that's less calls or less contacts than in 2018, which is 445. When we first began tracking this data, and we've seen a 16% increase in that point in time of homelessness. My question is, can you talk about the reasons on why you think that projection of 3,127 doesn't match the current contacts of 400?
Definitely.
435.
Definitely. There's two factors. The first one, those numbers that were projected in the November staff report were based off 2 officers working overtime, strictly handling just those calls. So they didn't take additional calls for service, which these 2 officers are doing now. So they have calls for service, they're doing follow-ups, they're going out and they're spending more time with the people in the community versus just trying to get the numbers. So that's why the numbers are reduced, because they're actually spending more time with the individual rather than just trying to fill us full of stats. The second factor is in September, we adopted a new records management system, which we're still trying to work through and figure out how we can get our statistical data from the new system. So I'm hopeful by this time next year, we'll have very good, accurate data for you.
That's awesome. And that's really what I'm trying to get at, because, it was talked about in November that, we had a surplus at the time, we could fund this program, but that when all this data starts coming back to us now, when we're doing the next 2-year budget, if we want to continue this program, all these options are on the table. And, one of the things that was brought back in that projection was that the proactive contacts per hour was at 1.78. And it seems like we're doing a lot more deep work than just making contacts. So that's something that I would look at, and it's fine. If it's like, hey, we had to spend 6 hours as opposed to 1.78, then I think that's completely appropriate, and that would help me in making the decision on whether this is something we should fund in that next 2-year cycle. So, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you for the suggestion.